Do we have any football fans out there? By a round of applause. No one. That's no one. I always liked football, except I think there's one. I have one, just one, way to change it to make it what it would be even better. I know it's hard to think about. So there's only one part of the game that's any good, and that's when they kick the ball not from their hand, where they punt it. That's called a punt. When they have to do that, that's no good. I'm talking about where they put it on the ground. No one's holding it either in this case. The kickoff. That's what they call it, the kickoff. But then you don't need any of the other people. You only need 2 people. So I figured it out. You just get a kicker. Each team has a kicker and a catcher. That's it. That's it. Now you don't need to put stripes on the field or anything. You just need each person does have to have some facility. Okay, it's not perfect, but you want to have a flat field. It doesn't have to have any markers on it. And then you want to kick the ball off of the tee and just kick the ball as hard as you can every time. And the other guy either catches it. If they catch it, then they get a point. But if they miss it, then they lose a point. See? And then the other team gets their kicker. Now their kicker kicks to their other catcher. And that's the new game of football, because remember, it's football, right? And the only part of the game that's any good is when the ball is flying through the air. I always see them. And like when they catch the ball, that's when the game becomes, I say we could have stopped. Could have stopped the whole game and it would be better. Because once they start running, it doesn't make sense anymore. It's like, what are they doing? What? And now it doesn't make sense all of a sudden. Once it goes past that point where they kick off and the person catches it, even if they miss it, it won't matter. Actually, the only thing that really matters is that the ball flew through the air, which is the best part of the whole game. And I know some people like to see it thrown real far. That I don't care for that. I just want to see it fly with a kick as far and far and far as it could go. I don't want to see a field goal. That's too short. I want to see a kickoff every time, and that's the goal, to catch it or not catch it. If you catch it, you gain. If you don't catch it, you lose. Tally up the score at the end of the game, and whoever has, wait for it now, the most points. At first I was going to think maybe put the least points, but then I thought if you say the least points, then that would just encourage someone to not play very well, drop the ball every time. So I said, no, let's encourage them to try to win. So we'll say you have to have the most points. And then some person said you could change the scoring system to where if they catch the ball, maybe they get no points. So then you could say, let's have the lowest score, and that would encourage them to catch it. And that would work just as well. I'm not against that. This is so long. I just want to make sure it's so long that whatever scoring system you have, you want to make sure that the team that wins is incentivized to play the best. You don't want to have it so that the team that is incentivized not to play the best, to lose on purpose, and then win by getting the lowest score. I think it took a long time to iron this out a long time ago when they were arguing it at first. They said, should we make it the lowest score? And they said, I think we should have to consider that. That's equal. That we should put that up there with it. Let's have a debate. Should it be having the most points or the least points? And someone came in and said, hey, I think we should have middling points, somewhere in the middle. And he said, well, there's only 2 teams on this. He said, yeah, but what if there's 3 teams? If there's 3 teams, maybe we'll say the middler is the one that wins. And that person they said, you have to listen to that person. That person's part of the argument. Okay, so should we have the highest score wins? Should we have the middler of the 3 or more, the middlest wins? Or should we have the lowest score win? Because all are equal combinations, and we have to consider each one equally. And no, you can't say those people can't talk. You can't say that. You can't shut them out. The ones who say maybe we'll have the lowest score, they're valid. They have the right to speak, and they have the right to be in our midst. I can't believe that you have the nerve to think that you can throw them out. Because everything, and everyone, and all thoughts are perfectly valid always. That's simple. So just take care of that. Just take football, make it just about, maybe just make it one kick, and that's it. It's a one shot. Think of the beauty of that. One kick. Okay, the game's over. You could have a whole season in one day. You could have 50 seasons over this course of one season. Think of the betting. You could bet on more games. Let's do it. We're going to do it. Let's do it. Okay, we're doing it. Okay. Get a group. I want a committee. We're going to put this together. We're going to get a pack, and we're going to put this through. We can do it. Everybody wants this. This is what everybody wants. A landslide. They're going to landslide this thing, I think. I think we should have it so that it's so much better so they can't rig it. Because I think they're going to rig it against this. So what we got to do is make sure that we overcome the rigging by over-rigging. And that all makes sense. That all makes sense to some people. Welcome to the program. You're listening to the Cruel and Unusual Sit-Down Podcast. Pew, pew. Just a little friendly reminder for you out there. Check your spam folders. All right, they said it's time to make some jokes. And I didn't have any jokes, so I just started thumbing through the Bible. I didn't believe in the Bible until today. And you know what? I believe in the Bible now. And if you don't like it, hey, fuck you if you don't like that. You know what? I love the Bible. If you don't fucking like it, fucking don't like it. Can you imagine that? People don't like it, you like the Bible? And it was because of this one. I wasn't. I was kind of skeptical. I was a little skeptical. I was one of those skeptics. I was like, is it? I don't have any proof of it. Is it? But then I was reading, and then I found, okay, I said, I get it now. Okay, so King Saul is taking a shit in a cave. That's that verse. Remember? Everyone, you got to remember it. If you don't, you missed out. So it's probably the best Bible verse. King Saul is taking a crap. Pardon me for saying different language. Pardon me for using the word shit earlier. One time a friend told me, just don't say shit so much when you're cooking. The same friend told me to move my feet when I dance. That was a good advice. That was a breakthrough once I learned that part. Same thing here. It was a breakthrough. King Saul is sitting there and he's taking a shit, remember? Okay, do you remember the story? Okay, I'll tell it to you. So King David, David, you remember David. King Saul is trying to apprehend David to kill him. He's got like 3,000 men. He's like, we're just going to go kill David. And so David's hiding out in a cave. And King Saul and his men are just riding around like, there's no way we can find this guy. He's out here. We'll never find this guy. This guy, he is elusive, this man. He has his friends with him. They're all helping him. His friend Jonathan particularly, he seems to like Jonathan a lot. Well, anyway, so King Saul is like, oh man, you know what, guys? I gotta talk to the bush. You know what I'm saying? I gotta go talk to the burning bush. You know what I mean? So he goes into the cave. He says, I'm going into the cave. Now, some have interpreted that to say that he went to go relieve himself, and they claim that he meant that he was going to urinate, like Ozzy Osbourne on the Alamo. But that's not what he did. He shit. I know he shit. And it's because of the context. He went into the cave. If he was just going to relieve himself, he would have just went to the tree. Also, okay, there's another thing. That's one part of it. There's trees out there. You could find trees to pee. It don't matter. You could pee out anywhere in the open. If you're in the Bible, you could pee anywhere you want. If you're a king in the Bible that was chosen by God, you pee anywhere fucking where you want. But no, he was pooping. He was taking a poop. Number two. He had to go in the cave. He said, I'm going to the cave to poop. Then no one lives in there. He said, that's just a cave. I'll just go in there. I'll use it as a restroom, a one-time restroom. It's kind of selfish of him. No one will ever be able to use that cave again until they scoop out the poop, the turds. Scoop out the turds. So he goes in there. He walks in the cave. He doesn't notice anything. Just squats down and starts going. And of course, you always face out when you're. Everyone knows that when you're in a cave and you're taking a dump. When you're taking a dump from your guts, right? Your guts have finished with it. They said we've done enough with it. All we can. It turns out about the same every time. Just roughly the same every single time. You ever notice? Every time about roughly the same. Every time that happens, it's about the same. Roughly the same story. So it comes out, and he's sitting there. He just said, I'm going to take me a while. So now David is just going to, he says, you know what, this is my big chance. I'm just going to go cut his head off or whatever. He said, get the dogs. Hey, he says, Jonathan, go get some dogs. Because this idiot, Saul, this old man, he came in here. He said, that old man came in here. We're just going to fucking cut his head off. And then, so he goes to do it. But then that guy, he feels bad about it, so he doesn't do it. That's what happens. That's the story of the Bible. That's not my story. He's going to slay him, and he decides not to, but he cuts a piece of his robe off. And Saul's none the wiser. That just is so funny. That's the funniest part. Saul's just there taking a shit. Yeah, a shit. He's shatting in a cave, looking out, and David just cuts a piece of his robe right off. That's it. That's what happened. I think that's all that happened too. There's not much added to that part. If you don't like the Bible, how do you not appreciate that story? I mean, they had to write that story. Someone was sitting there in a scribe school learning that. Excuse me, Barnabas? Yeah. So it says here, what does it say here? What does this say? Because I'm a little bit confused. Oh, that just says right there, that Saul just walked around and stood there, and then it looks like David must have cut a piece of his robe or his garment. It could have been his garment. It depends on the translation. But I would say it was his robe. And he just cut a small piece of it. What, you say he's just standing there? Yeah, we think he was just walking by the cave. Maybe he walked in. We don't know. No, listen. Look at this term right here. You see that term? That, you know what that means, right? Oh yeah. Oh, that does change it a little bit, doesn't it? Oh, that does make it a little bit better, actually. It adds to the metaphor a lot. Did you notice that? So that's what they must have meant. That must be why he's going in the cave in the first place. Otherwise, why would he go in? Just to peep in. Looks like he was going to poop in the cave. Oh, that actually makes it funny, actually. I get it. Well, the way I was taught is that he just walked by the cave. And I always thought, doesn't mean much, does it? But now that it has a lot more meaning if he's taking a crap in there. So that's the only reason why I love the Bible. Because there's no other place to find material nowadays. The comedy is already being produced directly from the news now. There's no parody. It is a parody. The news is a parody of itself. So you can't make parody from parody. You can't satire a parody set. Okay, yeah, you get it. Meta humor. I have to do meta humor because there is a rash of joke theft going on. Grand joke larceny. Across state lines, it adds another dimension to it. Not to mention, I don't even like to mention this, but I'm a few years away from being a senior citizen. So if someone were to steal or to theft off my jokes, think about that. That would add a layer of aggravated charges. I'm just pointing out there, that's aggravated charges. So you don't want to aggravate the charges. Oh, one of the things I know from my experience with the courts, you do not want to aggravate the charges. Dude, yeah, you get it. I think you get it. I think it's in the context. I think the word aggravated gives it away. Okay, that's my time. I'm going to stop there. The proceeds from this week's broadcast of the Cruel and Unusual Sit-Down podcast will be donated to benefit one of the following charitable causes. The Ruckus Club. For people who just got finished walking. And now, please enjoy the following musical number. And remember, be sure to listen closely and don't be talking during the musical selection.
Boris Johnson is returning from family holiday in Dominican Republic in the Caribbean. He's come back to sort some stuff to do with the Prime Ministership. This is not trial, this is flip. This is not horseplay, this is the real slip. Governing parties think he is the one to sort out the Conservatives, to prevent another wipeout, another round. Like Cincinnatus, I am returning to my plow. Boris Johnson may be coming back. Mark your calendar dates. Boris Johnson on the way back. He says he may have a few guests over to celebrate. Great time. Great time. He says he may have a few guests over to celebrate. He's come back to sort some stuff to do with the Prime Ministership. 4 days since we have seen him. The only one who ticks all the boxes is Boris Johnson. Governing party think he is the one to sort out the Conservatives, to prevent another wipeout, another round. Like Cincinnatus, I am returning to my plow. Boris Johnson may be coming back. Mark your calendar dates. Boris Johnson on the way back. He says he may have a few guests over to celebrate. To celebrate great time. Great time.
All right. I'm going to tell you the origin. Spoiler alert, I'm going to tell you the origin of the enigmatic time 420, which everyone knows is Hitler's birthday. The time 420 was celebrated by a group of people, but a lot of people don't realize that there was another group that celebrated another time before that actually gave us 420, and it was the Pie Club. They met every day at 3:14 p.m. and they had pie. The Pie Club met at 3:14 and they had pie every day. And this other group, they were involved in other things, and they noticed the pie group, but they noticed the pie group always had a lot of extra pie because they were sick of pie. They ate it every day. So the 420 group said, let's go there 66 minutes later. Let's just show up after the pie meeting. We'll go there exactly 66 minutes. I hope that's right. 66 minutes, because if not, that's not any good. But if it is exactly right, 66 minutes and 420, that's how it started. I'm not sure if that's any good or not. But I always think, what if pi were 4.12? Then we'd all be celebrating 518. Everyone would say, "Hey, it's 518. Get ready." Well, I'm not sure what they do on 420. I think it has something to do with Hitler, the Unabomber, Jim Jones, Charles Manson, who else? John Wayne Gacy, Jeffrey Dahmer, Ted Bundy, maybe a few others, but we'll leave them off because those are the main ones. Those are the main ones. I don't think they belong. I think there's something other than what they say they are. That's why 420 came out to take off the pie, to get the extra pie. They would just get a percentage of the pie too. They would just say, give me a percentage of that. Okay, how about 12.5%? What do you think? I think that would be sufficient. 12.5%. That's one piece of pie. If you get a piece of pizza, it's 12.5% of the pizza. If that stupid guy that cuts it would cut it right. They always make pieces different sizes. It's not that important. I guess I could let that go. I could let that one thing go. Just that. I don't care how they cut it, actually. And I don't care most of the time, almost anything about how they prepare it, as long as it's almost what they expect, what I expect. So I'll give them that. But the Pie Club has a lot to say for itself. But, it has a lot going on. It caused 420. But it tries to blame Logarithm Club. They meet every day at 3:18. It takes a little bit of while to calculate, but 3:18 is when they meet. Why is it 3:18? Oh, well, it's because it's 2.78. So I think you have to add 18. Some people say, well, maybe you got to make a percentage, calculate a percentage out. But then it's not going to be very even, and then you'd have decimals. And it's just not worth going that far down that path, because none of this is real. There is no Pie Club, and no one ever met at 420 to smoke a joint. That's fake. But it is a good story. I like it. I like that idea. I think that's what the person who made up the idea thought, well, they're going to like the idea. It doesn't matter that it's completely fake, or that it refers to some nefarious thing we don't know about. Oh, what if it has some nefarious meaning? So what if you get up to, so let's say, somehow you find yourself, okay, I'm going to make up a scenario. You're not going to find yourself there. This is a scenario. So let's say a guy, I'm just going to change it to somebody else, not you, that way. Because I don't want, this person in this joke's going to get thrown around a little bit. I don't want to throw the audience around. You don't want to be throwing around the audience. It's real important. Leave the audience in their seats. There is no audience. but leave them in their seats. Okay, there's a person goes up to be judged on the judgment, and they're standing there with that book and, holding the book open. There's more than one, like several of them are standing there. It's like all the judges of the place, like got books open and stuff. Everyone says it's like a history of your life, but there's no history of your life. It's like they know. They don't need to know every detail. They just say, that one thing will. So they get this person. They say, you know what, you're fine. It looks like you're fine. We've looked over everything, and it looks like you're going to get in. You're clear, Hey, we found you to be clear. Except just one thing now. I know you don't have a pacemaker now, but did you ever have a pacemaker? It's a rare thing. Have you ever had a pacemaker? We don't have it written down here. And the person's like, yeah, you know what? I did have a pacemaker. They put one in for about 9 months, and then they removed it. They said that it had corrected the problem and that they didn't need it anymore. They said it was a very rare thing. They don't do it very often that way. But yeah, in my case, they were able to correct it. Oh. So the guy goes, oh. Or the lady. Or the woman. Or any whatever. Could have been. Well, it was. Doesn't matter. It was just a character. They're not real. So the character goes, we have a bit of a problem. It's doesn't happen very often, but recently we had a bit of a glitch, and here's the thing. Due to the glitch, you're gonna have to go. I hate to tell you this, but you're gonna have to spend some time in Hades for about 90,000 years, roughly. No more or less. It could be about twice that, but they're correcting it right now. They're already in the process of correcting it. It's just going to take up to 180,000 years. But in the meantime, there will be no contact between you and us. So you will lose track of what happened and who you are. And when you come back here, you'll have to be recaptured from Hades. But don't worry about it. We'll clear it up. And even though this doesn't happen very often, I want to say this is routine. And we do this all the time, even though we don't. Okay, and then you go to Hades. Stand around in the gray Hades, just the grayness. Sit there for like 90,000 years. Well, not you, I'm sorry, the character. So now the character's sitting there for like 80,000 years. I guess they pull him back eventually. Let's just get to that point. Yeah, okay. So just imagine all that. Just like quickly imagine 180,000 years of just solitary confinement. Okay, so then, right after that, wake this person up, and they're like, okay, you're back, hey. And they're like, do you remember? And that person just doesn't talk, ever. They don't talk anymore. That's what they do now. Well, that's what they do out there in the dark buildings. I think they paint them black. Don't go near them, or they'll lure you in. So they say, oh, well, like we said, and then you spend or the character spends 8,000 years, maybe 7,000 years, kind of recapturing. And then, okay, so let's get to that. So then after 7,000 years, and they go by and they say, oh, goodness, okay, I'm glad that's over. The character's now like, well, that's a relief. Okay, now just go through all that again real quick, and then come right here where the character's like, oh, gosh, I just went through 187,000 years of solitary confinement. And then, well, the last 7,000 years, I was kind of recovering, but it still felt pretty bad. And they're like, yeah, that's just, it was a big mistake. It had to do with those pacemakers. They came from another galaxy. They weren't supposed to be introduced into your area yet, and there was a big mix-up with the systems. So if you had tried to enter heaven at that point, you would have zapped. So that's why we would become oblivion. And we didn't want to send you to oblivion. We thought at least we could recover you this way. And they said, yeah, but what is this? What is this? So the final thing is that's it. So the final thing is the character is just like, after going, it has all that in their hand, they're like, what is this place? What is this place? Maybe they said it like that. What is this place? Hey, can I ask you a question? What is this place? And they're like, I just work here. You can go on through, and you just walk. And then the character walks through, and everybody's happy. Well, they're not. Everybody is satisfied that the story was ended. Now pay attention, everyone. Put the wheel away, Jimmy. Pew, pew. This has been the Cruel and Unusual Sit-Down Podcast. Coming to you weekdays at 11. Hey YouTube, don't forget to hit the thumbs up and subscribe.